comments are all about the ostrich farm. So he can't say I haven't seen anything about it. This is what I tweeted back in January, February, March. Pierre has obviously adopted the idiotic strategy that any association whatsoever with American politics and or American podcasters will hurt him politically in Canada, given the tariff war and anti-American sentiment in Canada. I've said it from the beginning that Pierre Poilievre is a fair-weather politician who has no core principles and will only do that which he thinks is politically popular. Right now, he thinks jumping on the anti-Trump bandwagon will win the election. Well, that was wrong. In fact, it will only tell Canadians there's no difference between conservatives and liberals, making it more likely that anyone on the fence will simply continue to vote liberal. Because heck, what's the difference after all? Why vote for the fake thing when you can get the real thing? Now, I wanted to bring up where, that was it. So Pleb, and then I said thank you, Pleb, just because it was amazing to finally see him say outrageous. That was Key and Becky. We had someone saying I'm canceling my subscription. Where was the ratio? Here, look at this. This is unbelievable. Pierre Poilievre puts out a tweet yesterday, almost a day ago. Prime Minister Carney met with Premier of China Li Qiang today. His result? A constructive set of discussions based on earlier phone calls. No end or even relief from tariffs on our canola farmers and fish harvesters. Is he an idiot? You're going to talk about farmers and not talk about the ostrich farm? You idiot! He is weak abroad. Canadians pay the price at home. I'm sorry, you moron. Do you not know what's going on in your own flipping country? Look at the rate. Nobody cares about the tweet you just posted when innocent birds are about to be slaughtered because of government overreach. Ostriches is what your base wants to see you posting about. Ratioed biatch. What did I say? I want to read the other one before we go thank our sponsor for today's shows. This was here. Hold on, because it was quite funny. And I'm calling him Mouse Fart Pierre. That's his nickname now. Forget Pee-Pee. Pee-Pee's childish. Pee-Pee refers to penis sizes. Nobody cares about that. Mouse fart. Why do I call him Mouse Fart Pierre? Because you can hear a mouse fart louder than you can hear Pierre saying something about saving his country. I'm sure Mouse Fart Pierre will give a press conference tomorrow morning after the birds may very well have been slaughtered. Seriously, and from the bottom of my heart, fuck every member of the so-called conservative party who sat there with their thumbs up their asses doing absolutely nothing. Fuck all of it. The latest update? This is the update we had last night. Inspections Canada have not started killing anything else. With the assistance of their Gestapo agents, they are creating a veil of one time where I was everyone just called Now, speaking of, don't get too stressed out. Stay healthy. I want to thank our sponsor, Black Forest Supplements. This is the website. You can check out this video, which talks about. I can't do this live.
Dark chocolate, 70% now. So, when you and I were growing up, right, in grade school, we learned from our teachers that starfish can regenerate, salamanders can regenerate, people can't regenerate.
Yeah,
right?
you can't grow a new arm.
It's true, you can't grow a new arm, but we can regenerate. We regenerate every day. We know that we regenerate because our hair falls out and grows back. Our gut lining grows back. Our livers can grow back. If you actually remove part of your liver, to grow back. Our skin grows back. Our bodies possess the ability to regenerate through stem cells.
Certain things you can't regenerate an arm, but you certainly do regenerate skin, and it comes in the way of scar tissue sometimes. The sponsor for today's show is Flavanol. I can't hear it without thinking of Professor Frick. Everybody, stem cells. talking about what he was talking about, are like tiny repair crews in your body. They go after and fix whatever needs to be repaired. If it's your liver, skin, they'll fix it. Most of stem cell therapies are illegal in the United States, not because they're unsafe, but because they work too well, which threatens big pharma. But if you could heal your knees, fix your back, recover from surgery without pills, without insurance, without endless doctor visits, that is what the FDA seems intent on ensuring monopoly by blocking these treatments. You could go over stem cell injections. There's what most people don't know. High flavanol cocoa can naturally boost your own stem cell activity. Studies show stem cells flow through your bone marrow into your bloodstream like bees from a hive. And you can listen to what Dr. William Lee said in that video. Here's the thing, flavanols, the good stuff found in cocoa, but they're not usually destroyed during the chocolate making process. The good news is Black Forest Supplements has created the first ever high flavanol cocoa powder, packed with everything your body needs and not the stuff that it doesn't, like the sugar that comes with. You don't get to eat chocolate bars and say you're getting the flavanol. Only 20 calories. You can mix it with your coffee in the morning. It tastes amazing. Twice a day, it will make things great for your body. Power up. If you're experiencing any of the symptoms that come along, let's say typically with aging, try it. Click on the link below. For the next 48 hours, you'll get a whopping 40% off your order. You heard that right, 40%. You've got nothing to lose except the pain and the bad feelings. The link is in the description. And I want to thank our sponsors sincerely. You vote with your feet, you vote with your dollar, you support companies that support free speech, and you support companies that put out good products. Try the high flavanol cocoa, 40% off with promo code VIVA, blackforestsupplements.com/fry. It's in the description. All right, let's get to the American side of things, people. Before you go anywhere, make sure that you're subscribed. And turn on notifications. Did you know that, you guys know that, I want to know who's relatively new to this. I'm going to find out. I'm not going to look at what Urban Dictionary. If you use this, put in a Y or a yes, there's a definition in the Urban Dictionary. You don't know who Aaron Yes. Did I say, no, that was one yes, two no. Shut up, you guys don't know that he... Okay, well, welcome to the channel. There's an actual definition in Urban Dictionary. I'll get there in a second. Aaron Rupar, I'm just reading from the AI summary. American journalist, media commentator, best known for political and real-time video clips on U.S. politics, especially X. Career, he's worked as a journalist for Vox, Think Progress, MinPos. At Vox, he heavily focused on U.S. politics during the Trump administration. Watch this. I love it. I'm gonna sully up virgin ears today. Rupar, Urban Dictionary, a lying sack of shit who deceives people for a living in the name of his political ideology. Every word that comes up his mouth is a lie. Goebbels was a real Rupar. He shamelessly lied and smeared anyone opposing him. Rupar, to lie with impunity, a brazen statement with a focus on misleading, usually with the intention of predetermined outcomes. Rupar, to purposely mislead, to intentionally and grossly mischaracterize a statement and or video. Rupar, to purposely mislead. We got all. Is there more? Rupar, okay, to mislead. Could you imagine being a man? You are actually the definition of a lying sack of shit. Can you imagine that? Well, Rupar pulled a Rupar today, as relates to the related situation in Dallas. There was a shooting. We'll get to that. I'm not trying to make light of the shooting. It's what happens when you get psychopaths who have now seen their political permission to carry out extrajudicial assassination. There was a shooting. We'll get to it in a second. Aaron Rupar, in being the lying sack of shit that he is, and everything that comes out of his mouth is a filthy lie, tweets out this in response to FBI Director Cassidy. Got to go down the Twitter, what is it called? Not the rabbit hole, but whatever. The Twitter thread. FBI Director Kash Patel. This morning, just before 7 a.m. local time, an individual fired multiple rounds at a Dallas, Texas ICE facility, killing one, wounding several. I think it's up to 2 now, before taking his own life. FBI, DHS, ATF are on the ground with the. Why are there so many? FBI, DHS, ATF. What else is there? CIA, KGB, whatever. They're on the ground with Dallas PD and state authorities. While investigators are ongoing, an initial review of the evidence showed an ideological motive behind this attack. See photo below. One of the unspent shell casings recovered was engraved with the phrase anti-ICE. More updates will be coming. I don't know if you call that engraved. It certainly looks like it has it written there. These despicable, politically motivated attacks against law enforcement are not a one-off. We are 1 miles. We are only miles from Prairieland, Texas, where just 2 months ago an individual ambushed a separate ICE facility targeting their office. It has to end, and the FBI, our partners, will lead these investigative efforts to see to it that those who target our law enforcement are pursued and brought to justice. Thankfully, no law enforcement know where these raised injured and deceased. Okay. Now, I'm not stupid. I'm not that blinded by my own biases that I am so stubborn to say, if I'm on the left, and if I want to make the argument that this is a setup, this is the FBI planning, this type of orgy, like the Minority Report level orgy that it's right. I'm gonna write on a bullet anti-ICE slogan. No, it's anti-ICE. Like if I wanted to set up if you don't know what the facts are. It's a dishonest question. If you do know what the facts are, 2 detainees were killed. But not when the news broke this morning, and I hear that the detainees were the ones who were killed, I'm like, okay, this could be someone who's anti-immigrant. It could be a far-right extremist who decides to, like, okay, well, that's where the immigrants should go, so I'll shoot them as they enter. I was like, okay, but I'm not going to say left or right. I'm not going to come to any conclusions until we know more about the facts. When you hear that it was detainees that were shot, that's a reasonable conclusion to come to. Until you get the facts, which are that the dude was firing indiscriminately at the building and the van, and didn't know the van. Well, of course, you're Aaron Lubar. You're fine as a blind sack of shit. Everything that comes out of your mouth is a lie. I wrote this tweet. Did you know Hey, Rupert, quote, indiscriminately into ICE building and an unmarked van holding detainees. I'm not showing it because there is a picture of the alleged shooter, and the only question that I had about that is, they don't know if the shooter acted alone or not, but my question was how they had. I'm gonna. Okay, so So this is the question that I asked. I'm not showing the picture. There's a picture from, and I said, my question was, how did the photo of the corpse get out so quickly unless he was with someone? I doubt law enforcement would have released this photo so quickly, if at all. And then the answers are anything starting with bro, I'm inclined to disagree. The FBI director tweeted out evidence within a couple of hours. True, but that's not the corpse. Look behind the AC unit in the middle picture. Those are police officers. I think someone leaked. My dude, there's literally cops in the background. Different departments leak different. Everyone knows that X will do it quicker and get around to it. Local departments are full of leaks. Okay, inside leak, just like with Martha. That's fine. So there's an inside leak. So it wasn't. I'm not going to show you the picture, and I'm not going to tweet the link. I don't see police officers in the background of any of these. Oh, I do in the back of one of them, actually. And it turns out the kid, according to Laura Loomer, who has once bitten, twice shy in terms of getting burnt by inaccurate information, Laura seems to have provided the receipts for this. Laura Loomer says, tweeting out earlier, again, fog of war, some of this might prove to be false, but again, I think they've identified the shooter, and you can find social media footprints of friends and family, and in this case, the mother. Laura Loomer says, the mother of Joshua Jean, the radical left shooter who tried to assassinate ICE agents today, but instead ended up killing several illegal alien detainees, is named Sharon Jean. She is a Democrat who makes social media posts attacking elected Texas Republican lawmakers who support the Second Amendment. Ironic, her son used a guy to try to pay him. Just another example of failed parenting. Okay, she has made several posts on Facebook attacking pro-Second Amendment Texas Republicans like Ted Cruz and Greg Abbott. In one post she posted on Facebook, May 25, 2022, the shooter's mother said, Governor Abbott, Senator Cornyn, yada, yada, yada. How does it make you feel that your action to open up gun laws is responsible for the killing of 21 more people? Do you secretly sit in front of a TV and smile a demented smile? You must be proud of all the money that sits in your bank accounts from gun lobby support. Was it worth it, Governor? Okay. Here's my hope. May you be reminded of the deaths every time you see a press, yada, yada, yada. And then here are the receipts, and I'll give everybody the link to that. My only comment to this is we'll see how the kid got the gun, whether or not he lived with his mother anymore. But the Crumbly standard has been set, so I presume the parents are going to face federal charges or gun charges or whatever. I say that / sarcasm because I think in the Crumbly case, we can always argue that the details are a little different. But that's the breaking news of the day. I don't understand how a photo of the corpse leaked out that quickly. I mean, it's kind of wild. Barnes knows better than Laura. Barnes knows better than you say. Okay, but first of all, you can approach the information. The person does. You might approach information more skeptically depending on where it comes from. But there's a way to verify the information regardless of who it comes from. And I remember that I didn't get burnt because I didn't retweet these things. But the car that blew up at the Canadian border, some people suggested a terrorist attack going down to our Macy's parade in New York when it was the wrong direction. Anyhow, bottom line, some information you can verify regardless of who it comes from or from whom it comes. And I was sufficiently satisfied with the receipts and independent verification of this to reference Laura Loomer's work in journalism. That's the problem. She sometimes does great work, but does herself some harm with some of the mistakes that go unnoticed. Whatever. Okay, but anyway, that's the problem. Take everything right now with something with a grain of salt, fog of war, and think about it. So that is the information coming out of Texas as of now. I actually know somebody who's within a block or two of the area, and this is what happens. You get copycats, and the more the media actually lionizes these villains and these criminals, the more copycats you're going to get. And speaking of copycats and psychopaths and encouraging these people, at the risk of giving him oxygen, social media oxygen that he doesn't deserve and should not get, I want to do it anyhow. Because Keith Olbermann, in addition to being mentally retarded, is also a menace to society in a meaningful sense. The victims were detainees in your care. They are your responsibility. Resign SEC. No. Now, I don't know what information was available. This was at 9:40 a.m. this morning. I don't know if you knew that if the news breaks and you are a mentally unhinged lunatic who acts on your impulses and without thinking, Maybe the detainees were not the targets and were actually the collateral damage of the lefty lunatic who wants to shoot up an ICE facility indiscriminately without thinking that there might be illegal aliens there. Maybe that's possible. No, Keith Olbermann is a man who acts on his rage because he's a psychotic, demented old man. To which I said, Keith Olbermann is a raving lunatic. But he's not just a raving lunatic. He's actually a menace to society. He embodies the sentiment of bona fide domestic terrorists. Literally, like, after Charlie Kirk was murdered by a lefty lunatic who had been ratified, whatever, it's like, quite literally, oh, what's that? One of ours killed one of yours, and now we're going to demand that you give up your firearms. That makes sense. Oh, we're going to respond terribly and not do what we can to mitigate these disasters in order to claim the right to take your guns away. We are First Amendment supporters. We support the Constitution, but not the Second Amendment. So they will exploit the tragedy if they have to cause the tragedy. They kill you, then use it as an excuse to demand to take your guns. They randomly open fire at an ICE facility, killing detainees, then demand that you resign because detainees were killed by one of their lefty lunatics. They cause the terror and they try to profit off the terror they caused, i.e. terrorism. And Keith the other day put out a bit of a tweet that should have gotten a visit from the FBI. Maybe it's not too late. So that is what's coming. That's what's going on in the breaking news of the ICE. Let me get to some of the tip questions, the humble pranks that I have missed before we decide to take the party on over to VivaBandRaw.locals.com. But Crash Bandit says, has anyone put together the dude was a gamer? And we have two crazy gamers that we talked about last week. Did he watch their online content? Oh, the dude, the one from this morning is a gamer? We're going to find out what's going on in the Charlie Kirk assassination, because did I read somewhere, by the way, that the boyfriend disappeared? Charlie Kirk assassination boyfriend disappeared. I think I read that, but it was. Huh. I did read it. I'm going to bring this up in a second. It's on the backdrop. We've got Crash Bandit. Ginger Ninja says that was carried out by someone following ChatGPT instructions. That's why one of the cases says generic. Oh, that's interesting. It might be someone who's mentally compromised in the actual clinical sense, and yeah. That's interesting. I didn't see what the other anti-ice slogan said. King of Biltong says, we found out today one of our buildings got damaged beyond repair in a storm last night. If you can, please help us by purchasing some Biltong. Please, Louise Biltong. I hope you have insurance, and I hope insurance covers it. BiltongUSA.com, code VIVA for 10% off store-wide. Ginger says, Katie, you live on the farm, you're banking renting your own home. We got that part. I know some to Gestapo. First, and then I got the other one that such as life isn't. All right, let me see what's going on top. We're going to take local. We're going to go to our locals after party because excuse me. We're going to take that party on over there. I got a couple of more things to talk about. Here is the link to locals. Link to locals. And for those of you who missed yesterday, you missed a good one. My wife popped on. We talked about the news of the Tylenol, of infections during pregnancy and how it impacts the health of the baby. We talked about how after the Spanish influenza of 1918, there was a spike in schizophrenia among people. And yeah, but what I wanted to do before we did that is actually read some of the tip questions. Whatever's new here. To all of you moron leftards asking why he shot detainees instead of officers, just like most leftards with guns, this dumbass fired at an ICE van without knowing who any of the bullets were actually going to hit inside the van, proving that all leftards truly are stupid. Roostang says ICE is a federal building with the federal agencies, FBI, ATF. Oh, no, I understand that. I'm just saying, like, why are there so many three-letter law enforcement agencies? That's got at least 3. There are nearly 100 U.S. law firms. We got the DEA, we got the DHS, DOJ, FBI, ATF, FBI, federal, drug enforcement. I mean, why do you have so many? Yeah, I don't know. Maybe there's a we have garnered a lot of political oxygen in Canada have said, sweet F all. They are the quintessential direction and we called out, Viva will be nice. I will not be. Dude, I've been kind of mean. Finboy Slick says, could she literally sell the ostriches to the U.S. government? If they're property of the U.S., I'm not sure what legal stuff. No, she can't do anything. They're basically under the jurisdiction. She couldn't, night. She couldn't smuggle them. They couldn't leave the property without her being jail. And you can't really just move them. Let's just make the ostriches to U.S. citizens, says Jameson. Katie, is anyone contacted the workplace? As someone that was working I have heard, I'm not sure that people were fire the program. All right, so that's it. We're going to go over the Viva Law right now. I'll be live tomorrow. When you raise Viva has raided the streets. Viva raided and now Card, yeah, Tyler Robinson's part. We'll talk about that. All right, so with that said, Pete, go enjoy the day and Rumble. Local. Make sure you're subscribed before you leave Rumble. Local, thank you all.
my gun. If I have to pull the trigger, I'm going to pull the trigger. People need to see the physical reaction in my face in order to understand what my motives and actions are. So as much as I can't stand Gavin Newsom, I want my agents and officers, I want people to see our faces now. Because we live in such a violation of no law and order, and we have mental patients, I understand why ICE officers, Border Patrol agents, etc., have their faces covered. Gavin Newsom is an idiot. Because he wants to enforce the law in California. I, as a federal agent, are under the jurisdiction of the federal government. I don't have to follow him. I'm a federal agent. I can do whatever I want to do under the statutes of the United States of America federal government. But I would never wear a mask. If I get back into duty, which could be any day now, I will not wear a mask. Everyone's going to know who the hell I am and why I'm there.
Oh, I love that. Well, I didn't know this, that you're about to join ICE again. That's amazing. Hope you'll be able to still do the show. I don't know what sort of restrictions you'll have to be able to speak with us here, JJ. I hope you will. I think, this all comes 24 hours after the Atlantic published a piece that left-wing terrorism is more than 30 years far left outnumber those by far. That's how absurd the CNN is. We don't know the motive. Are you kidding me? He didn't go to Starbucks and shoot a bunch of baristas. He went to an ICE facility to shoot and kill ICE officers. Sometimes I swear to you, I live in some of the dumbest times in my life.
Well, right, but that's the thing is that you look at Kash Patel's like here, we know the motive, it was far left, right? And that doesn't help because his credibility is low right now with independent figures. And so it feels like, wait, what would be the purpose here of this being a false flag? What would be the purpose here, right? Does it expand government power? That's possible. And it almost, in the wake of Charlie Kirk's assassination, I believe nothing. Even though I'm just mad because I can't stand the posturing anymore and I don't trust anything.
It's like finding passports out. It's infuriating. There's some bigger thing at play here. I think is they created an environment in America where you trust no one or anything. That shooter that killed Charles Kirk, it could be so tough. Let's say it is. You're engines on the plane that hit the Pentagon disintegrated from the heat. However, the bones and flight lines.
We can easily be here and be like, here we go, far left again. Don't trust. Playing into that narrative, and I'm like, well, then I will trust it as a double negative right now. We've covered this, then, we better. It's on the rise. Take a look at this. We found left wing. That has happened as opposed to the far right. So it's left wing versus far right. So they're denying that there's such a thing as the far left. And then take a look at this. They say it's not because leftists are more violent. It's because the right feels like they're getting what they want right now. So they don't have the need for violence, which, okay, is condescending. But then take a look at this. I cannot right now. It talks about how when a right-leaning perp strike, they only go after one person, like Brian Thomas. For them, that the leftists only choose one person. The right, and that's not true. Antifa targets. That is utterly stupid. And again, I may see stupid class war.
I do believe in propaganda. I believe it is absolutely cells in the United States, activate them, and throw us all into chaos, and then we give up our civil liberties, just like the Patriot Act, just like after 9/11, and we are all sitting ducks. And I think you're absolutely right about that. And you're not the only one to tell our show that, and just to speak privately with individuals, Paul seemed to be saying the same thing. So I think that on the swivel, my friends. J.J. Carroll is author of Book Treason. I highly encourage you to read it. Jim Carroll is also going to be joining ICE soon. Can't wait to hear about that. We'll see what happens. I'm ready to go. I think that being called back to the fight, the physical fight, and I'm excited. I'm hoping that it does materialize. And somebody that watches me doesn't say, we don't want him damage. So we'll see. I'll keep you posted.
No seed oils, organic corn, sea salt, and 100% grass-fed beef tallow. These chips They avoid all the bad stuff, and they really taste incredible. They're hearty. They don't break in your dip like a lot of chips. And in fact, I fed them to a group of teenage boys on my son's birthday, and no one said, "Wait a minute, are these health chips?" No one knew that any different, and they mowed through them like a lawnmower. They are really delicious, and they come in several different flavors. One of my favorite is the green chili. They have. You should check it out for yourself. All the different flavors, seasonings, and things like that. But they're not flavors like a Dorito flavoring, which is made in the science lab. If you've ever read the book The Dorito Effect, you will be horrified at what the Dorito and its cousins have done to our taste buds. So fight back with more natural food like Masa Chips. Right now, if you go to masachips.com/redactednews and use the code redactednews, you'll get 25% off your first order. Again, that's masachips.com/redactednews and use the code.